Hello and welcome back to Fatal 12. On the last episode, Oddette and Frederico has entered the old man's house, to which obviously they find out about the old man's partner, the young child. We don't know how to address them, obviously, but combat has started. With that, we may as well just kick off where we are, really. They grabbed Odette's leg with their left hand and propelled themselves upwards into what looked like a handstand. The ceiling was low enough for their feet to reach it after that maneuver. Following that, they utilized the ceiling to propel themselves towards me yet again, with an even bigger knife, mind you. Why's the kid coming from me? I ain't dumb enough to let someone leap straight into me. I mean, we can't die, but we can still feel pain. Their skill might have taken me by surprise, but I can dodge this, no problem. I slide my right foot back to do so. Christ, how can you be so stupid? Her insult isn't directed towards the kids, but to me. My foot doesn't slide across the floor when I pull it back. Instead, I trip over something. What the? It's not that I tripped over thin air either. My foot was caught on something hard. It's one of those screwdrivers the kid had thrown a moment ago. Now you're mine. The kid uses the opening to thrust the knife into my side. That's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna kill us. This time it digs deep into me. They retract the knife immediately and put some distance between us. Her eyes watching Oddette all the while. Blood starts to gush out of me, dousing my jacket. Fortunately, my ribs took up the brunt of the blow, so my insides aren't damaged. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I don't really think we're the good guys in this situation. I probably just have a few cracked ribs though. That probably would have killed me had this kid been a bit stronger. Useless. That's yet. I'm already starting to lose consciousness when she says that. From what I managed to hear, the kid has no intention of chasing us down. Switching perspectives again. And then I dream. I dream so far into reality that I almost think it's another world entirely. I dream a dream about one thing I ever truly cared about. But the regret I only could know about. There's even more simple reason behind how I can tell it's just a dream. Because there's no hope of me ever achieving it. This is a reality that will never come to fruition. A desire that I've convinced myself to give up on. The fact that I'm dreaming of it now proves that it's still got regrets about it, though. So we don't get to know what it is. Just as I start to wonder why my behind hurt, I notice that I'm sitting on the road. Odette standing beside me with a plastic bag in hand. I assume she dragged me out all this way from the house. Was to stop at some convenience store. That was why. On the way to buy provisions too. Side is still killing me, but it's all bandaged up and treated. Did you? First aid's a key skill at sea. Yeah, makes sense. Can't let a wound like that fester. Otherwise, you're a goner. I mean, aren't we still immortal? I mean, that's kind of confusing. Anyway, sorry. You're a damn weakling, you know that? I can't find the words to rebuke her with. I just click my tongue and shake my head. I look down on the kid because of the rage, but it wasn't just that. They completely outplayed me. That aside, chances are that the kid went through some kind of training that they forgot about, thanks to their amnesia. That's why. Hey, what's wrong? Wouldn't you have been better just leaving me behind? Gross. I'm gonna puke if you keep talking like that. Besides, I told you we'd work together, and you still got some value. I ain't the type to break a promise usually. Usually, huh? Doesn't inspire much confidence. Shut up and have a drink. She hands me a miniature bottle of wine. Bottle of wine? I mean, I guess alcohol to to sterilize the wound, maybe? But wine to recover? Normal folk wouldn't give an injured person alcohol, but hey, She's anything but normal. As for the proof, she's already drowning herself. Chilean wine, huh? Well, I'd be annoyed if they sold the good Italian stuff at some crappy store around here. You'll be fine if you've got enough energy to run your mouth. Even so, you probably should take it easy for the next week or so. Just me, huh? No point in arguing with her when I know she won't listen. Instead, I pour the wine down my throat just like water. It ain't top shelf stuff, but Chile wine is pretty decent for the price. The taste of red wine helps me settle down. You won't find many people on the street drinking wine straight from the bottle back in Italy, but I gotta admit, I ain't against it. After enjoying our wine and sandwich, we trudge back to our hotel. The kid's gonna be a real fun to deal with. I'll make sure to crush him next time. I can tell she isn't gonna go out looking for revenge on my part. That'd be pretty unnerving by itself, but I know her, and she's doing it for her own sake. It's been over a month since Divine Selection started, so I've managed to pick up enough clues to figure out what she's thinking every now and then. It's pretty ridiculous, but she's looking forward to pummeling that kid. Another perspective switch. After school, I make my way back to the district where Shigetsugu lives. Oh, the name always stumps me. I know the way by heart at this point. I've gotten somewhat familiar with the area after all. I should be able to escape into Busier. I'm stupid. I'm very stupid. I should be able to escape into a busier area if I somehow bump into that duo. Okay, let's do this. To give myself a little pep talk out loud. Today's main goal is to ask around to find out anything I can about the relationship between Shigetsugu and that girl. Things go south almost immediately though. You wouldn't happen to be a participant, would you? Someone approaches me from behind. Huh? The very person I was about to gather info beats my gaze when I spin around. He may be short, but he has a tenacious up close. What? He looks tenacious up close, as he did from afar in the dream world. He stares at me with some stone-cold poker face and a plastic bag in hand. I freeze at the moment our eyes meet. I recognize that face. Not many high schoolers look as threatening as you do. Now, allow me to hazard a guess. You come here to search for information pertaining to me, yes? His posture makes him look exhausted. He's completely unfazed, despite having run into another participant. Now that I think about it, he didn't react to the slightest when number 11 got her hands on his name card. He may sound somewhat surprised, but at the same time, he seems a bit apathetic. Please, there's no need to be so tense. I have no intention to oppose any of you. My battlefield lays elsewhere, and today, I make my return from a great triumph. But your battlefield? Indeed. I have my own little battle to fight. With another participant? Heavens no. I have my battles by the station. I'm completely baffled by his statement. I guess it means he's successful reeled me in, though. I start to panic with that thought in mind. Battle begins by lining up early in the morning to secure a good spot. But the true war begins after that. Few things are as exciting as the fanfare you receive when hitting the jackpot. He's gambling, jackpot, fanfare, and a good spot. Not to mention, unless he's fishing, maybe. Not to mention, all this takes place by a station. The station isn't huge, but it isn't your typical storefront around it. Coffee shops, diners, shopping district, and... Are you talking about pachinko? That's correct. I don't know what the game is. The only reference I have is the Osomatsu-san stories. I believe it was the octuplet in the yellow jacket. His laugh is hearty and sincere. The scowl on his face remains, though. It leads me to believe that he is the kind of person whose facial expression doesn't quite match up with how they actually feel. That makes him a good poker player, as you said. Yeah, for your correct guess, you win this chocolate. That's nice of you. Why are all the nice people in this game, and also the mean people, but... He produces a bar of chocolate from his bag and hands it to me. I stare at it for a few seconds before turning him down. This is your way of making me lower my guard. Children these days aren't quite satisfied with chocolate, I see. A shame, especially when I know whose eyes light up. Especially when I know ones whose eyes up when I give them some. You must be talking about the girl that's staying with you. I don't recall any girls staying with me. Drop the act already. I try and sound as threatening as I can muster. Letting him lead the conversation any longer is too risky, especially when I can't gauge his intentions. My, aren't you a scary one? I stare at him down as he tries to tease me. It's possible that he's trying to rope me in and extract useful information out of me, so I try my best to stay as little as possible. As I said before, I have a little intention of taking part in all of this. I'm happy enough as it to have been granted some extra time before passing away. I've been able to return to the pachinko parlor thanks to it. You'll never believe how much my income has increased ever since Divine Selection has began. I refuse to say anything in response to this random conversation. That being said, could I ask you to leave? He finally confronts me, possibly realizing that I will stay quiet if he doesn't. I'm fine with whatever fate befalls me, but there's a certain someone whose survival I want to ensure. So it has to be the girl. I already know for sure that they're living together, which means he's feigning ignorance. I want us to live a normal life until that someone finds us. Until that someone finds the will to fight for their own sake. Would it be too much for asking that you hear out this old retired man has to say, yeah, sure, why not? You know, everyone who's gonna die is gonna share their story anyway. You want this person to win, don't you? If so, then yes, it would be too much. Well, that's hardly surprising. How does this sound then? His tone becomes grave, his expression somewhat gets even more tenacious as he speaks. If you agree to leave now, I won't make any mention of having met you. That means they won't target you. I get that you're older than me, but you may want to appreciate the fact that you're in no position to look down on me. Ushizuka, Shigetsugu, goddamn, I'm gonna slow down. Obviously as slow as my sentences usually are to begin with, but... Getting haughty just because you know my name, are you? He doesn't falter when confronted with my threat. He opts to provoke me instead. I'm just kidding. As I said twice now, I have no intention to oppose any of you. His tone returns to normal, though his expression remains unchanged. We've made absolutely no progress. I guess his age and experience means it won't be easy to reel him in. From what I can gather, you aren't quite like the other participants. You're nothing more than a young girl. It pains me to know that you died so young, but your best bet is to avoid the other participants if you want to make the most of the little time you have been granted. The hell up? Beg your pardon? I'm not sure how, but I managed to stop myself from screaming in his face. I've just about had it with him talking to me like I'm some dumb kid. I mean, you kind of are some kind of dumb kid, considering Miharu is basically just operating you like a puppet. I'm not doing this for my own survival. I'm here for answers. I can't afford just to sit idly by and let all this pass. Is my life worth casting aside for the life of others? Why is my regret? What awaits myself and my hero when all is said and done? Is fate really something we can't opt to go against? I can't let myself die until I find the answers to all these questions. I have no intention of living a quiet life until I'm able to do so. Answers, I'm not sure what questions you have, but finding your answers won't be a simple task. And, don't act like you know me. Quite the nostalgic statement there. I used to hear it from my family quite often before they all left me. That lady from the other day mentioned that he's been living on his own ever since his family abandoned him. Based on his attitude, I'm hardly surprised someone said that to him. Well, I mean, you know. But then you gotta recognize when people are actually correct about what they say about you instead of just being wrong. Because I mean, again, Rinka kind of is just a dumb kid. He's one of those condescending types who like to act as though they know every little thing about you. No, he's not. If anything, you're the condescending one, because you think that about people. I'll leave for today, but it doesn't mean I'll stop looking into you. Don't think that I'm the only one doing so this either. Everyone's far more desperate to cling to life than you seem to think. That tenacity of yours is quite admirable, certainly not what I expect from a child. That attitude is what's annoying me. Just as I'm about to leave, I hear a set of footsteps stop in front of me. In my eyes, is the person who it belonged to. Who's this? Don't tell me that it's another participant. No, of course it is. What is it about today? The voice belongs to a girl I tailed back to the house the other day. She's probably returning from a shopping trip based on the plastic bag she's holding in one hand. Her eyes are big and round, and the silver hair is somewhat disheveled. She seems like your average innocent kids. Not an instant after I think that, she gives me an icy cold stare. Is she targeting you as well? Right then, I feel like something sharp stabs into my brain. A sudden pain is so bad that my hand clasps on my head in an instant. I've been experiencing the headache that is painful for. This isn't good. I'm not sure what the cause is, but the last thing I need in this situation is to leave myself vulnerable. Just like I think that. My head, what's going on? So we have simultaneous headaches. I'm not the only one experiencing this pain, it seems. Wow, this room is messy. Just as I take a sigh I take in the unfamiliar room, mainly because I know the situation I'm in all too well. Rest assured, I've got nothing dubious in your tea. Thanks, but no thanks. Trust me, had I wanted to examine your ID card as such, I would have done so already. This is my attempt at being hospitable. Thank you for being a reasonable gentleman. Sorry that the main character is numb. While taking it back, I step the cup and have a sip. It's not much the tastes. Well, it's to be expected when the drink is more yellow than green. Disgusting? As for why I'm in Shigetsugu's house, he brought me inside after what headache knocked me out of the loop. Both myself and that girl were told to rest until the pain subsided, but she hasn't woken up yet. I notice her fidgeting in her sleep, which leads to my involuntarily gulping down the tea. Oh, rather impressive. Thank you for helping me, but I've stayed long enough already. Sure, just remember that my stance on the matter won't change. Yeah, I won't. He may not be able to see me as his enemy, but there's no denying that we will ultimately have to compete with one another. Not to mention that the girl made no effort to hide her hostility towards me. So I'm curious about this sudden headache that hit us when we met, but it's too dangerous to stay here. I want to be gone before she wakes up. These walls are thin enough that people outside would hear me if I screamed, but there's no guarantee they'd actually try to help. And she's awake. Are you feeling better? Yeah, sorry I made you worry. There's no reason to apologize. Have some tea. Thank you. I hadn't intended on staring, but I can't take my eyes off them. It is a quick exchange, but the two of them really seem like an average grandfather and granddaughter. The warmth of his expression reminds me of how my own grandmother looks at me. I plan to leave as quick as possible, but after witnessing that scene, my feet feel stuck to the floor, which gives the girl an opportunity to turn her attention towards me. You! I keep my mouth shut. There's no reason to respond. I'd better off going straight home. Oh, you're still here? This girl may be a participant, but she has no excuse to glare at her the way you did. She isn't our enemy after all. Oh, but that's no excuse. Okay. Make sure to apologize for your behavior before she leaves. Or before your behavior. Right. I was so on edge because two of us came in this afternoon to scourge up information on you. When I saw you talking, I thought you might be in cahoots with them. In any case, I do apologize. This isn't half-hearted. She's even bowing her head. You see scenarios like this often. The granddaughter does something and then apologizes when the grandfather tells her to. I would honestly believe that these two were family, but had I not known their participants, even though they looked so different. They're not just playing the parts. Everything about their interaction feels authentic. That just makes things even harder for me. Oh, I'm not partially upset about it. I'm not particularly upset, sorry. Don't worry. I can't blame her though, considering my attitude towards him. Of course, it's not like I've decided to let my guard down around them now. My standing by the front of the door ensures my escape route serves as proof. However, something she said piqued my interest. I have to confirm with her before leaving. Two of us came back here earlier, you say. They wouldn't happen to be a tall man and a woman, would they? How do you know? I've been keeping an eye on them as well. Her eyes widen. Shigetsugu, on the other hand, listens without reacting. I take it you know who I'm referring to. They came by earlier, so yes. I beg your pardon. Well, I haven't gotten to telling you yet. There's a reason why the house is a mess. I didn't know some disorganization, but I assumed that's just how they lived. I don't mean there's trash lying around, but there's a number of newspapers, magazines, and articles and clothing dotted around the floor. You know numerals 3 and 11, don't you? I remember what they looked like, sure. Mind explaining what happened? I've completely lost my chance to leave now. You should listen to this as well, but in return, we would like some information. Yeah, I mean, true. An alliance is kind of necessary to get rid of the, the violent ones. He motions for me to sit closer, probably because he knows I've lost my chance to go, too. Those two made their way into the house looking for you. It wasn't long after you left, actually. I was aware that they'd been scouting around the house from when I last came here. They probably have been here for several days. Knowing Shigetsugu leaves in the morning, they figured he'd stick to the routine today as well. I made sure to chase him off though. The woman was tough, but the man was no threat. What, you chased off those two? She's about my height, and she's definitely way younger, and extremely slender. Judging by how she said number 11 was tough, I doubt she gave her a simple verbal threat. These are the same two who took Sonia's parents hostage, and if they listened to some kid's threats... yeah. You can read on your own, you know what this is. Anyway, they got away, but I did manage to severely wound number 3. We should be safe for a few days, thanks to that. So you resorted to violence again. I had no choice. It was the only way to keep them out. Besides, they attacked first. Wait a minute, you fought them? Like how? I'm not sure. I just know how to fight for some reason. Is that even possible? And now I'm suspicious of them again. It's not impossible for her to make up this is an attempt to reel information out of me. This one suffers from amnesia, you see. Should you be telling her that? It's hardly an issue. There's little for you to lose by telling her. I'm fine with it, but whatever. It should be okay. This child had nowhere to go when the divine selection began. We started living together not long after our first encounter. I don't remember a single thing about what happened before the divine selection. My name, my destination, or even why I became a participant. Because you died. I don't even know the contents of my own personal card. So there's no point in trying to uncover my cause of death and regret. Not only did I forget why I'm in Japan, but I didn't even know that I was born here until I met Shigetsugu. Amnesia. Something we have in common. The only difference is that she's lost all of her memories. I've only forgotten bits and pieces prior to the divine selection began, but not enough to affect my life. She, meanwhile, doesn't seem to know where she is. I can't even begin to imagine. I met Shigetsugu pretty quick, though, so it's not as bad as you may think. That's true. Of all the people you could have met, she follows up with a pleasant smile. I found it hard to believe that someone with a smile like that could fend those two off. I've heard about how one retains their personal habits and skills when suffering from amnesia. The loss of personal memory doesn't influence muscle memory or something. But that means she had the ability to go toe-to-toe with those two even before the amnesia, and she could probably be even worse. Right. I'm sure there's more you want to hear, but I do believe it's your turn now. His attention turns to me after cutting the conversation short. I guess he did mention some sort of reciprocity of information before. I decided to tell him what I know about those two. I fully expected participants to resort to extreme measures, but those two truly raised the bar. I mean, just wait till I find out about Alan. I tell them about what they did to Sonia and her parents, holding the child's parents hostage in order to make them reveal their information. Sheer brute force. However, I make sure not to mention that I have Frederico's name card. Probably smart call. They never mentioned what cards they have, so fair's fair. I guess you had little choice but to retaliate then. See? I knew what I was doing. Yes, yes. Here, I'll pat your head as a reward. Do keep in mind that you're putting yourself at risk, though. Be more careful next time. Okay. You don't need to worry, though. I won't lose to anyone. Her attitude turns out to be far more childlike than appearance. From my perspective, she's like a kid who gets carried away after being given a little praise. Still, what she said holds weight if she really is able to fight those two off. Her unpredictability is definitely a concern. Sonia, at least, accepted the fate that she was a participant. These two, on the other hand, only care about living out their lives like normal people. You should understand by now that we truly have no intention of taking part in all this. Please don't get involved with us anymore. Okay, that's kind of unfair. His choice of words makes me think he somehow read my mind. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but I am stunned either way. And then I realize it. They're not normal at all. Even real families would struggle to act as legit as these two do. Plus, they're both participants. This is insane. Those two won't give up, though. They'll be back as soon as Numeral 3's covered, or maybe even earlier. Eliminating us is the only way they can survive, so they have to return. Are you perhaps worried about us? You came here for our information, correct? Why would you bother to worry about us? I don't know, I just do, I guess. That's right. I'm far more normal myself. That's not quite the response I expected after all your talk about finding answers. You really are annoying, aren't you? Not that he's wrong. Again, he's not condescending. He's just trying to be helpful. Rinka, you dumb child. That's condescending. Anyway, yeah. That's why he's been this calm the entire time. He's never seen me as a threat. Are you making fun of him? No, not quite. Oh, no need to worry about that. I see you went shopping earlier. What did you buy? Oh, that washer thing got broken thanks to those two, so I went out to get something for it. I'm not really sure what it is. The clerk recommended it. I'll assume you mean the washing machine. What's with the hose? You using it added to a tap and spray water? You said that you'd know what to do with it. Next to her is a washing machine hose. I recognize the logo on the bag. She must have bought it from one of the nearby supermarkets. I'm not one to fidget with machines, unfortunately. What were you going to do if the washer broke, then? Fortunately, there's a coin-up laundry close by. Coin-up laundry? You go there and you pay to use their laundry machines. You said you'd cut down on other expenses for the sake of Chinko. We can't do that. I really want to say something, but I don't know. She might actually believe that what he says about being in a battlefield. Shigetsugu, meanwhile, takes the hose before returning his gaze towards me. You know how to fix this, don't you? That figures. In the back of my mind, I knew I'd end up being asked based on their exchange. I'll replace the hose, but I'm going home after that. Thank you very much. I mean, we can make friends. Ah, gross. How long has it been since this thing was cleaned? Someone get me a pair of plastic gloves. Man, so much for going straight home. Even the drains is a mess. Mind helping me rinse this? Okay. No, not like that. Get the water from the bathroom. And thus, I face my fate of getting a torrent of washing machine water in my face. Disgusting. Now that I got, not only did I get drenched, but the water inside the machine was absolutely filthy. I think with that, we'll leave, I'm assuming, a bonding time with these two for next time. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I can see you in the next one. With that, goodbye.